Hi and welcome to my greenhouse. It's just coming up to mid-September and I thought I'd do a quick update of what's going on in the greenhouse. If you've seen my videos before, you know that my greenhouse is mostly Sarracenas, which you can see here. And I've got quite a lot outside. There are a few Venus flytraps and sundews, and a few Darlingtonias, but yeah, it's mostly Sarracenas. So what's happening? So it's getting towards we're now technically into autumn, and some of the Sarracenas are actually starting to actually sort of die back, mostly because they've overeaten in the case of this one. So this is a Utricularia red tube, and she's just basically overeaten there. I mean, she's stuffed up to there somewhere. It's just rotted the trap. Some of the Sarracenas, like Aureophila, as you can see here, are already actually starting to die back for the winter. So these are early season plants, early season Sarracenas, and so they put their best traps up right early in the season before all the other plants do, and now they are beginning to sort of die back. So this is perfectly normal. They're on just a different sort of growth cycle to some of the other Sarracenas. So what we've got, so quite a few of the Sarracenas now are actually putting some autumn trap growth on. So we've got an old Mori cross here, and she's got a really nice young trap coming here, not quite open yet. Really nice veining on that one. Well, some of the best ones for sort of early autumn sort of picturing are the Leucophyllus or Leucophylla. So here's I think this is my Schnell's Ghost, and she's got absolutely beautiful colouring there. There's another one here, and I've got a couple back here that again are putting some really nice early early autumn actual picture growth on. And we've got another, if the camera will focus on it, we've got another beautiful one coming here. But an early one that was a little bit distorted. Still managed to catch stuff, weirdly enough, even though it's sort of constricted itself down there. So there's a few like that. So I think this one is one of my flavas. So we'll have a dig back here. We've got some really nice Moris there again. There's a Flavolata red lid, which is one of my favourites. Gestatit sopa, which is this one here, is again like Leucophyllus, is producing some really beautiful sort of autumn picturing growth here. There's some really nice, really large traps outside. And here's a new one that's coming out here. So you can see this is a new one because she's very much got a sort of pink veining with white infill, but as it develops a bit further, it'll go sort of darker pink and then almost turn completely pink throughout with subtle veining. Again, here's a bit of a closer one of my Flavolata red lid. Really beautiful inside the trap there. Now she's producing a few more. So there's one of her new ones, not quite spectacular. I think this one was from a few weeks ago. Smaller than the earlier growths or the earlier traps, so this is one of the earlier season ones, and you can sort of see the difference in size there. We've got a nice Mori Jonah Bullock here. I love the deep purpley red throat of this, and also the beautiful colouring on the lid there. I can't tell whether she's actually going to be producing new ones. I think she might be actually. I think this is one of her new picture growths here. But there are some that are not going to bother to produce any new traps. So this is my Flava rubicorpora purple tube. So these are early season sort of spring traps. Really beautiful, very spectacular. Lovely veining and colouring. But now she's not actually producing any new pictures. So most of her new growths here, these are non-carnivorous leaves or Phyllodia. So here are some of her Phyllodia from last year, but these are her new Phyllodia this year. So she won't actually produce any more traps. So if you start having ones, it's not all the flavas, but certainly some of the earlier season flavas, they will basically not bother to put any more picture growth out now. They will just start to put non-carnivorous leaves out. Like I said, here's a big bunch of Oreophylla, or Ophelia, depending on how you pronounce it. And they're all starting to die back now, so she is definitely into the mode of producing non-carnivorous Phyllodia here. It's actually sort of a time when, let's show you one. So these have completely died back. Might actually consider just pulling these out. Usually they come out quite easily with her. I do find Oreophylla does tend to, the leaves can quite often rot quite easily. They quite often get botrytis on the leaves, so you do have to be a little bit careful with this one. That could just be sort of damp UK winters, but I've certainly noticed that more than most of the other, perhaps more than the other Sarracenas that don't produce so many Phyllodia, or not sort of close down Phyllodia. So digging a bit further back here, we've got some more Flavulata redlids. That beauty there is, that's my Leucophila red tube crossed with Flavaractio purpurea, so she's really beautiful. I think she's producing a few more pictures up now, but I don't think it'll be quite as spectacular. So the other ones that are going over, so here is Kimmer Red Ruffles, which is again a flava. Now this was a spectacular picture, but as you can see here, she's starting to die back on the lid there. There's some still nice ones in here. I mean, she is an absolutely spectacular plant, this one. In fact, all this section here is with these huge, big, coppery coloured tops. One I missed back here. Dig in. Which is starting to look really nice, is Purpurea. So Purpurea is producing new traps again at this time of year. I think you can see here, those nice young green looking ones. There's one that's sort of centre of frame there. And the older ones are the much darker ones. And this is a really nice, big, chunky specimen I've got here. Really beautiful, I really like Purpurea. I'll show you some at the other side of the greenhouse when I get around to that. And then the trays back here, I've mostly got more Flavulata redlids. We've got some alatas in here, alata. We've also got rubra. Where's rubra hiding? I'll find rubra in a moment. And we've also got some other Leucophylas. There's one. This is my smaller Leucophylla. So she actually produces, compared to some of the other ones I bought recently, she produces really very delicate little traps. I mean, this is really quite small, but beautifully coloured. And that's one of her later season ones, so again, it's really spectacular, that is. I've got some other ones here. So in here there is I think this is my Flava, all red. She's actually looking a bit more green now, interestingly. She was very much all red earlier. There's also another Leucophylla here, Leucophylla. Get a nice green one. And we've got a few others. I think we've got a couple of Adrian Slack crosses here, hybrids. And here's my my Dixie Lace, which is really nice. In fact, she's producing some really nice traps now. And we've got a tray of odd bits and pieces, just a variety of things in there. And again, we've got a tray of odd bits and pieces here. We've got some of my my potted up and split Leucophyllas here. Again, this is the delicate little one I've got, but still the colouring of and what I really like about this is that the unlike things like Jusatic Sopa, where they start off really sort of distinct colours, white infill and then pink veining, but they gradually darken down as the season goes on. Whereas Leucophila, she stays that absolutely vibrant, contrasting colour between white and red, or in the green ones, green and red. And again, it's a lovely little one there. Here's one of my other favourites, is my Rubigorfensis. I just pointing away from me a bit here. I just love the veining on this Rubigorfensis. The Rubigorfensis is also, she doesn't tend to produce, I mean, she does produce early season pictures. They're not amazing, they're quite small quite often. She very much is also on a different sort of cycle compared to the rest. Again, her traps, she tends to keep her traps right through the winter, right into sort of almost, you know, late spring, early summer. She'll keep some of her old traps, and they still look really spectacular. And then she starts to produce some new ones, and again she does new ones sort of this time of year. Got some more Catespii crosses there. I don't know what they are. They've been around for a long time. Some old seedlings that are just not making any progress. Hopefully they will a little bit more this coming year, but they've been there for ages. I mean, I've sold huge versions of these in my plant sales, and I've still got some of these little seedlings that are doing very little. Again, we've got another tray of mostly Mori crosses here, some of the ones that I've had for years. They do look really nice actually. They've got some subtle veining here, and when they've actually been outside they do pick up some much darker veining, so actually they're really nice. Again, we've got a variety of ones in here. I think this one is a Catespii Aureophila cross. We've got a tray of little seedlings here. There's a few hijacking Drospinatas in here as well. I've got some, I think these are Jusatic Sopas crosses. This is one I did this about a year ago. This is a Leucophila crossed with Flavolata Redlid. So she's got the really dark red throat that Flavolata Redlid has, but the sort of Leucophila patterning on the lid. I think this one is, I mean, she's really just now started to show her sort of her true colours, and I think this one's going to come out to be a really, really nice little cross actually. I'm really quite pleased with that one. There's another one that's showing the parentage in the Flavolata Redlid. There's a few others in there. We've got a few green, all green Anthracene 3 Purpureas, and there's a little dark red Purpurea in there. A bit crowded now, must get a bit more space. And again, we've got a whole bunch more varying sort of Sarracenas along here. My collection of Citacenas are doing really well. This was literally, I think about 2 years ago, this was one very sad looking, I mean it wasn't doing badly, but it never did particularly well. It sort of bumbled along, it never got much bigger, and I sort of split it because it looked like it needed it, and then the one year I actually fed it, so I actually gave it the wood bugs. So I went around and collected wood bugs and sort of popped them in, and it just shot off. It really started to do really well. Here's an example of one that is a division, and I probably fed a few of the bigger, darker traps at the beginning of the year with a few wood bugs, and she's really shot up some new growth. Again, this is a sort of a little bit like Purpurea. She tends to do more sort of midsummer rather than spring sort of growth, and she's producing new traps again now. So those last two green ones and some of the green ones in these other ones are, you know, from the last, let's say, month or so. So this one is definitely one that benefits from being given some food. I think when you've got, you know, unlike the big tall Sarracenas, these guys are not going to go after flying insects. So although I get so many flying insects in my greenhouse, to the point that, like you can see here, the Sarracenas, the big tall ones, just they rot. The pitchers do, just for so many flies. The Citicinas, they are really more after crawling insects. These guys grow in sort of the grasses, low down on the plains, on the boggy plains. So very much they are after crawling insects coming along and then going into their sort of lobster pot style traps, rather than expecting flies to crawl into them. So here's a few more of my purpurées. These are doing really, really well. I've got another really nice dark one there. And we've got a couple of really big all green ones there. Weirdly enough, literally the last month, this one decided to flower again. She put 2 little flowers up. I need to chop those off because they're obviously not going to do anything useful now. Whereas this is actually a flower from earlier, when they normally would flower. So what else have we got here? It's worth. I think this one is a Lata Black Tube, and again this one's really nice. Both those tubes are really nice. It's just a bit of a rubra vibe to her, in terms of that beautiful fine dark veining, and that sort of she's quite a bulbous trap just up here, and then it sort of narrows down quite quickly. So it is sort of a big bulbous sort of bit here, whereas a lot of the other traps are, let's say, here we go, it's much more straight narrowing, whereas this one is definitely sort of fat at the top, let's say. A few other little ones, a few Leucos, a few more Cephalotus. Here's my little fun tubs of Utricularia. I think they're subulata. I think someone identified them from a previous video. Although this particular pot of them is being very much taken over by Banata there. So what I did with these ones, just for a bit of fun, and I don't know whether I better show you on camera this, because the pots are rotting now, unfortunately. But what I did was I put, I might be able to. Let me get this one out. I'll see if it'll work. What I did with this was I put them into some clear containers, because I thought it might be fun to actually see the subterranean traps. Not showing particularly well, but you can see there, if the light would get out of the way, there we go. So you can see the sort of little strands going downwards there. And so that's the Utricularia in the ground. And certainly you can zoom in sometimes and actually see the little tiny traps. Let's put that one back. And again, we've got another couple of really big purpurées here. You can tell I like purpurées, and another couple of really, really nice all green ones. And if we look in here, here's my tray of Darlingtonia. Again, these are doing really nicely. These again have a bit more of a later season sort of cycle to them. So a lot of those new green traps there, they've come sort of in the last month, maybe a month and a half. Whereas early in the season, they tend to still have their old traps on the previous year. So the darker red ones you can see there, and like that one there. So these are doing really, really well. They seem to quite enjoy being a little bit further back. So the Sarracenas here tend to shade them a little bit. As you can see, I've got loads and loads of little stolon cuttings here. And some more there. And I even actually managed to get some seedlings. But again, that little pot of seedlings. They are slow though. A few Venus flytraps, some faux standard ones, and some Acai, the red ones. I don't have any particularly different in the Venus flytraps, just the basic ones. Here's some seedlings from this last year. just see how they go. They're doing alright actually. I just do my seedlings sort of either sort of end of the year and then put them in the greenhouse so they chill off over the winter, or put them in sort of early January and again let them chill off during the winter so they get naturally stratified. Got a load of Bonatas here at various stages. A lot of the back here have got seeds which I could do with taking off, otherwise they'll just seed everywhere. But yeah, so that was interesting. I do have a load of stuff outside, but I might do that in a separate video because this is getting quite long now already. So yeah, there we go. So although it's a bit sad to see some of the really beautiful traps start to die off now from, you know, some of the really beautiful ones like Utricularia red tube. Yeah, again we've got other ones which are starting to produce some really nice traps like the Lucos. So although some things are coming to an end, other ones are sort of starting out with some new traps. So if you like this sort of thing, do give me a thumbs up, leave any comments in the video, and I will post some more shortly. Thanks for watching.